Hi, so I wanted to come on and talk about my journey and some things that I think a lot of us are going through right now. And I thought maybe somebody might be able to relate to my journey and getting from there to here. What I mean is you know, living life as a sensitive, as an empath, and not even knowing what's going on and how that can just really affect you throughout your life, along with the regular dramas and traumas and things. And then, having all of the lessons, that you went through, because, lessons are always continuing because the journey's always going to continue, teach you something, because the past few years, and I don't know, ever since everything's gone kind of crazy in the world, like my spiritual awakening has taken on this like quickening. It's been like everything I want to know. I want to learn everything. I want to learn all about quantum physics, about, everything from metaphysics to energy to raising your frequency. It's just, it's so much that I just am reading and reading and reading every single day. And esoterics, enlightenment. I have like so many things that I'm so blessed to have learned. And I have like a whole book of notes of stuff that I'm like so excited to share. But I just I just wanted to share some of my journey first. And I've been putting off making a video because I feel like I need to have everything figured out before I start a video and or a book or something, that I just is bursting to get out of me. And it's like, where do I start? There's so much. Where do I start? So I just figured, I would just start by talking about like being an empath and a sensitive, and some of the things that kind of got me here and woke me up to the non-physical world, which is the real world, because this is like, people call it the matrix, or 3D, third dimension, third density, and I always knew it existed, and I always felt that there was something more. I always felt a connection to a higher power, to source. Like, I never had to say, I wonder if God exists. I wonder, I just knew, like I knew. Kind of like, you have parents, and I knew. And, one of the things that really, really affected me when I was, younger. Well, I was like 21 when I had my first near-death experience. And I know we all have a story. This is mine, and I know a lot of people have experienced this. Because, like Dolores Cannon says, there's three waves of volunteers. And I think that a lot of us have come here and we have forgotten our mission. And things like trauma or near-death experience, or something kind of triggers you to like wake up and start questioning, is there more than this? What else? What am I doing here? I know I'm supposed to be here for something. Like, what is it? Like, it's pulling, it's nagging, it's questioning, it's something inside that you have to know, that's like waiting, I don't know, to be revealed, to reveal itself. Because it's like, if you already know, the lessons won't be as meaningful, And I guess that's why we have the veil of forgetfulness when we incarnate, is so we do go through the lessons. And because if we knew that there was, certainty that if we were eternal and we didn't have fear, then it wouldn't be the same. So I originally at 18 moved to New York and I started modeling, and I traveled. I was in Paris, I was in England, and I had so much anxiety. I had so much anxiety, and I hated that I couldn't be myself. It was like, shut up and look pretty, And I think those expectations are on a lot of women, but it's more accentuated and more obvious in that world. And so I was good at it, but I wasn't really good at it. Like, I didn't have that passion. I had the passion for the creative side, but not for the business side, So I got mixed up with a boyfriend, and I came from a small town with horses in California, and I didn't know anything about drugs, So, he introduces me to dope. Next thing I know, I'm hooked on drugs, and he just calls it dope. Later, I find out I'm in Milan, and I'm sick, and I'm calling my mom, and I'm thinking I'm 18. I'm thinking I have really bad jet lag, but it's actually withdrawal. Because I called my boyfriend. He's like, oh, yeah, you're dope sick. And so what we had been smoking was heroin. And I think along the line at some point I kind of knew, but like nobody I had ever known had ever taken it. We all tripped out on LSD and were like just watching the flowers breathe and talk to us, and sunsets over the ocean, and crazy stuff, pondering the idea of, wow, I can see how people would think they can fly on this, listening to the Doors, and just like, and so, it was just kind of like the first time I did it, I was like, oh, this is what's been missing in my life. And I think people have certain chemical imbalances. Maybe it's not enough serotonin or dopamine, but it seems to run in my family. Not that everybody's on drugs, but pain, issues with pain, needing pain medication because like the pain is so bad, so it's more accentuated than it seems to be with like other people. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just I ended up coming back, and I ended up in an even worse relationship, and a very abusive one. And I could go into all about what a narcissist this person is, but they were just evil, and they knew it, and they they looked for damaged women with abilities, it seems like, because I wasn't the first one. My best friend, she read tarot cards, and it was just weird, the way that people prey on other people. It's like their energy is so low and so negative, and their frequency is so low that they can't make their own light and they can't make their own energy, so they feed off other people. And it was like he had so much hate inside of him that he had to put it into other people. And I remember running into my girlfriend, and she's like, I can see his hate inside of you. Like, I can see a piece of him in you. But anyways, the whole point of telling you that was, I came back home to California, and I told my mom, and I needed help. And she had given me way too much medication. And I ended up seeing this woman in my doorway. And I woke up, I was clear-headed, like the medication wasn't there. And she's older with white hair to here, and she has like a crooked back. And it looks like she's leaning over, and she's looking at me really seriously and very intently in my doorway. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I look away, and I look back, and she's gone. Little did I know, like several days later, I had run off from my home with just the clothes on my back, and I ended up staying at someone's house down the street, like I didn't even know, and they had given me crystal meth, and there were these people, and they were hiding out there because they were waiting for the police, the shift change at 7 a.m. because they were wanted or something, and they needed to make moves then, and so everybody was partying. And I had already been up for like a week, and this was my first time ever doing it. I just had told him, My mom gave me too many pills. I need something to wake me up. And so he said, well, I can get this. And next thing I know, it's like a week or two later and I hadn't slept. So this guy and I were taking it, and I'm trying to sleep. And I had taken some of the medication with me from home when I left. I don't know. The clothes on my back. I think I went back to get it when no one was home. That's what it was. And I took some of it. I don't remember if I had taken, I think I took more. And the next thing I know, I'm on my back and I'm floating up to the ceiling, and I feel like perfect happiness is waiting for me. Like everything I ever wanted to know was waiting for me. And I started to think about my family, like, would I miss my family? Would they be okay? And already instantly I knew that they would be okay. And I had to do something like spiritually exhale, like to end up going and not coming back. And all of a sudden I heard this woman's voice in my head, and she's saying, this is real. You're not tripping. This is real. If you do this, you will not come back. And I was ready to go, but before I could even, it just said 11:11. Crazy. And before I could go, I was pushed back in my body. And all I could feel was I was laying on my back, and my body was really cold and still. And you know how you can feel your breathing and your heartbeat and, wind on your skin or whatever. All I could feel was something warm dripping out of my nose and my mouth, and no heart, no breathing. And then all of a sudden, like if something hit my chest, like coming from the inside out, I don't know. I went, and I came up and I breathed and I started throwing up. I don't know, I hadn't eaten, so it was just green. Ooh. And I was cold, but I was really sick. And everybody was looking at me because I don't know how long I had been just gone. But they were not going to call the police. They didn't want to call an ambulance. They didn't know what to do. And they were thought I was dead and gone for good. And I just shocked the crap out of them. And they ended up just putting me in the shower. And I was too weak to get up, because every time I tried to stand up, my heart would fibrillate. And so I couldn't really leave that place for a while. But afterwards, anybody I went up to, I knew their sign. I could tell their name. I knew if they were going to die. I knew that if they knew they were going to die, I knew who they should leave their business to, why they shouldn't leave it to their sons because of this and that. And it was just so much information. And I think I was actually not 18. I think I was 21. Yeah, I was 21. And I was too young to process the information because I was so sensitive. I could feel everything everyone was feeling. It was like being an intensely strong empath on top of your own emotions with everything I was going through. And I had just told my mother that I was being abused as a kid by someone that we knew. And so I was processing that. And then, coming off of drugs, and I couldn't take it. And I had gone there to get clean, and I wasn't gonna ever drink or do dope or anymore. And after the whole thing with the overdose, I was not going to, because I had overdosed and I had a heart attack and drowned in my vomit. Yeah, I wanted to spare the gory details, but you got them. So I couldn't handle it. And things just kind of, all I wanted to do was make it go away. And some people would see it as gifts. Like today, I would see it as a gift. I would be able to handle it. But then it was just like being bombarded all of the time. Like if you're being yelled at all the time, but by the spirit world. Like I could sit down next to someone and I could see their worst, horriblest thing that happened to them. And I live in New York City, so I'm sitting next to people on the subway all the time. So everything I started using and everything spiraled out of control. So I went from the runways of Paris to the streets, because I eventually walked out on this abusive man. And there's more to the story. There's so much more. because I will probably make a video of my my descent into darkness and my experiences with the inverted. And that is such a long video, and this is already 15 minutes. So I just wanted to share how, this led to a lot of suffering, but to a second near-death experience as well. It was like, it took me a really long time to come back from all of that, because I didn't know I was an empath, and I didn't know I was a sensitive, and I thought I was imagining things, so I kind of just let myself go crazy, and I knew that I was doing that. So it was like, a crazy person doesn't know they're crazy, so was I really crazy? People thought I was. It was just going in from treatment program to treatment program, and not having them deal with anything spiritual, having them do everything by the book, and not acknowledging me as a spiritual person, but as an addict, as a failure, as someone less than. And that's kind of what encouraged me to originally go to school and get my KSAC and start working as a counselor. But then I was under these rules and restraints and client-centered modality. You cannot identify with the client and all this, which I get. There are lines, but you have to touch on the spirituality, because, we are energy. I mean, we are pure energy. I mean, human feelings, emotions, and beliefs can direct changes even in our DNA. I mean, when we change our emotions, our energy, our beliefs about our body, our world, I mean, that changes our reality, our life. And if I had known this so long ago, I would have gotten better much sooner. So I just want people to be able to learn some of the lessons that I went through, and then in future videos I can explain some of the things that I did learn about being an empath, and about how our bodies are made of ever-changing fields of energy that interact with one another, that interact with the world. It creates our world in ways that can only be described as possibilities rather than certainties. The way that our energies and our beliefs, interact with the world, with people, so when you're picking up on the energy of other people, and you're young, you don't know the difference between your own emotions and other people's emotions, things can get really confusing. So that kind of led to me trying to figure out, identifying emotions. First of all, learning, oh, okay, this is anger, this is grief, this is sorrow, this is sadness, things that we aren't taught but just expect to somehow figure out, and to learn that I am not my body, I am not this mind-made sense of self, this ego created self, that I am eternal. I am eternal spirit. I'm consciousness. I'm an extension of God. I'm part of source, and something that really saved me, because I was having panic attacks that were paralyzing, and I would literally feel like somebody was going to break in, and I used to think that everybody around me, because I could feel what everybody else was feeling, so I assumed they could all feel what I was feeling, so they all knew I was freaking out. Meanwhile, they had no idea, and I'm the last thing they're thinking of. But, when you grow up like that, and I remember learning that I was a physical empath as well, because I had this boyfriend, and he used to put my hand on his face and I woke up and my hand was on his face. And I said, "Why is my hand on your face?" He said, "I don't know. For some reason, when your hand's there, my toothache goes away." He had a broken tooth. And about a week later, my same tooth broke. And his never hurt again. So I pick up physical pain. And I deal with chronic pain from from car accidents anyways. So when I go to pain management, I can come in there and be talking to someone across the room and have hip pain that's like stabbing, and I'll be like, who here has the stabbing hip pain that's just unbearable? You'll be fine. And the next minute it's like someone came up and jabbed you with a knife, and she's like, that's me, and actually I've been feeling better. And I said, I have your hip pain. And that's what happens to me like all day, and since my second near-death experience, which I will go into maybe now, maybe later, I also pick up spirits as well, like empathically or intuitive, or it's like a medium, but they speak sometimes, but not like in a clairaudience sort of way, and so sometimes I'll see orbs of light around people, and sometimes they'll be dark, it depends, or I'll see a dark shadow walking with people, but sometimes I'll be nagged by a spirit to tell somebody something, and so I'll end up, telling some stranger something. And it's just crazy because I did not want any of this. This was the last thing that I wanted. And what really saved me from the anxiety and just the craziness, and from being prey to negative entities that will feed off your sorrow and your suffering. And I'm going to tell you all about that, because that is a really long story. But they really do. And you can't feel fear. And that's something that's really, really important, is not feeling fear. And, learning how to distinguish your emotions from other people's emotions, and knowing when something is a low frequency energy around you, be it a person or something else, and you'll know it's not you. But once you raise your frequency, you have your own energy, and you, as an empath, you can take other people's energy. And so if you're a low energy empath, you don't just feel their energy, but you can drain them. I mean, some people do that just by talking to you, and suddenly you're feeling really tired, and they're like, no, but one more thing. And you're like, oh, and then finally, that used to happen to me all the time. And I just had to learn to draw boundaries, and sticking to them, and learning how to release energy, and grounding and shielding, which is really important, putting my feet flat on the ground, and something I also learned in trauma therapy, touching things around me, looking at pictures, like when I had anxiety or panic attacks, or, picking up other people's emotions, especially if you can get your feet and your hands on some grass, because the earth emits like a negative, energy, not energy, but like we're positive and it's negative, like the ends of a battery. And when you put your hands and feet there, it kind of will take that negative energy, and you can pull in that healing energy from the earth, and like release all of that you're storing, that you're holding. Exercise, you can raise it through exercise. Meditation, I use a sounding bowl to raise my frequency, to clear my energy, but one thing that's so important that I learned was shielding, because that is the white light around you. Create a bubble of white light. You can create a pyramid if you want. I find that creating a pyramid is better for doing meditation and energy work or manifesting, but creating that circle of light. And also, there's something I want to talk about later, but claiming your sovereignty, because we have been manipulated by society, by people we know, by lovers, by ETs, extraterrestrials. There's things out there that have influenced us for thousands and thousands of years, more than that, millions. I mean, and it feels almost like we've become this herd, this I don't know. It's almost like we feel like we need someone to tell us what to do, and so many of us are just waking up and breaking out of this like herd mentality, scary thing, herd mentality, and learning that like all of this programming isn't real, and that the only place that we need to look is within ourselves. Even Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within. So we need to learn to look within, and until I stopped looking for someone to save me, and I learned that I can only save myself, is when I became proactive. And the start of being able to control my thoughts, because thoughts, according to Eckhart Tolle, they happen to us. I mean, we can use our mind. It's like a computer. You can use it when you want it, but it's always running. It's always running. Even on sleep mode, it's always running. And it's always processing, everything is through what we're perceiving through our senses, through memories, through years and years of like experiences of things. And so everything's a perception, but the only thing that we have is now, and being conscious of right now, and just stopping during the day and taking breaths and grounding yourself. And if you're sitting at a stoplight and you're like, crap, I gotta sit here, take it as an opportunity to breathe and to just be conscious and be in presence. And I have a whole bunch of stuff I want to go over about what I learned from Eckhart Tolle, but I wanted to start with an in-depth video about some of the stuff that I went through. But the second near-death experience was really important to me, because that's when the whole universe opened up and I remembered Source. I was allowed to remember. And I think it is to tell everybody, is to spread the message and to tell you guys what happened. So I think that's what I'm going to do in my next video, because I really talked a lot on this one, and maybe I'm going to post it, maybe I'm not, but I just felt like I needed to get started, because whether or not I leave this up, I don't know, but at least I did it because I have so much to share, and I have so many people I want to relate to, and I have awesome playlists with like all the people that I learned from on YouTube. Oh my gosh, you guys got to check out my playlists with Aaron Abke and Eckhart Tolle and the Reality Revolution. We have, you guys, learning about books like through audio is awesome. I mean, starting with 3 Magic Words and The Power of Now, A New Earth, and then I finally got into the Law of One, and it's just fascinating, you guys. I mean, I had so much to share. So hopefully my next video I won't be rambling on. But anyways, it was so nice to share with everybody today, and hopefully I'll make another one soon. I'm sure that I will. Be blessed. Take care.